Welcome to In Black. I'm your host, Elvis Mitchell. We're about to embark on a journey into the world of artistry, a pilgrimage through the realm of design, an exploration of the philosophies that inspire us to dream, create, and share. And now, it's an honor and pleasure to introduce you to the 5 visionaries whose insights will propel our voyage. Kehinde Wiley, painter, master of the canvas, a world-renowned artist whose work is displayed in museums, galleries, and private collections across the globe.
Most of the people that I see in the great museums across America don't happen to look like me. And for me, it was important to find a way to create a language that corrected for all of this. Try to create a world, which is ultimately what I'm doing. I'm crafting an alternate reality.
Paul Miller, otherwise known as DJ Spooky and That Subliminal Kid. He's a multimedia mixmaster, turntable guru, fusing sight and sound, elevating mixing to new heights.
I think of my music as a kind of a new blackness. In the 20th century, you could see Duke Ellington and Mingus and all my heroes trying to figure out how to deal with the echoes of the 19th century and slavery and blues, and jazz was kind of a new extension of a freedom, of movement, of migration from the south to the north. For me, I'm now dealing with globalization and thinking about blackness as a global kind of overground meets underground.
Uzan Palsi, cinematographer, filmmaker, an internationally acclaimed writer-director who touches lives by marrying the epic to the intimate.
I'm French, yes, but before being French, I'm African Caribbean. Because of the themes that I'm choosing, my stories are talking about love, about struggle, about life, about hope, about dreams, and being a black filmmaker. These are my concerns.
Stephen Burks, architect, designer, sculptor of spaces, a dynamic artist who thrives on the concept of evolving environments.
Most of us know design from books or from magazines, but really, it should be part of our everyday lives.
Deidre Dawkins, dancer, choreographer, a terpsichorean shapeshifter of both stage and screen whose physical imagination takes hold in your soul.
I hope my performances inspire people to go out and research, go out and better themselves, go out and find whatever help they need in order to be their best selves. I hope that my performances inspire people to think more than anything.
I want to say welcome and thanks everybody for being here. Start with you, Paul. What I always wonder whenever I see an artist or see somebody who lives in the creative world is how he integrates art into it, design into his art.
Well, the fun part about being both an artist, a writer, and a musician is that what I'm trying to figure out is how much music has become the kind of global language of exchange. I mean, you can go to India and you have the Indian kids listening to 50 Cent or remixing that with Bollywood soundtrack music. You go to Brazil, you got the favela movements. You go to South Africa, there's Kwaito music. Well, the fun part about it is music is more accessible, than a lot of the visual arts. So people will somehow get that first. Writing, text, all that stuff moves at a slower pace. So what I'm trying to figure out is, is how do you synchronize it? How do you balance it out? And also create something that's about the total art forms. And I think right now for the 21st century, especially as you see digital media really kick in more, you have sculptors like Richard Serra being able to make a huge steel wall. He just does a couple sketches, scans it to a computer, sends it to Germany, the place that makes battleship armor. And 2 days later or a week later, somebody gets a 70-ton piece of steel on their doorstep, It's the same, this idea of computer-aided design. It's all basically a digital medium at this point,
Design is about solving problems. When you step to a white, empty canvas, it's the most horrifying feeling in the world, and you better have something designed in your head about how to approach this thing. And it says something about what you want and what you need. My design issues have to do with my desires and yearnings. and those have to do with race, class, gender, sexuality, somehow being bound to identities that are a little bit more bound than me, myself. These are all fixed notions. And I'm trying to design, in a sense, a picture of freedom. Craft is the ability to learn all the rules and then to go into that place where you forget them.
I tend to think of design as the appropriate relationship of things. I mean, whether I'm working on a chair or an environment, I'm really working with different materials, different ways of creating an experience. So it's about bringing the right elements together to find that place where, you know, we're dealing with the right experience.
For me, there is no formula because, you know, I have ideas, and I just need to find the right elements, you know, to bring my vision on screen. And sometimes I visit, you know, touchstones, you know, from various cultures, especially in the black cultures, and I pick the ones that are needed, you know, for my stories, and I put them together, and I create.
Design is kind of an invisible language. And in fact, you shouldn't even notice it unless there's some sort of disaster, you know, or something. You shouldn't be able to see the stitches.
And like, for example, when I was doing my movie Simeon, and in my culture, the spirit, the world of the spirit is very important, you know, and we live with that quotidiennement. So I needed to blend the intangible with the tangible, and I had to, you know, to call upon, you know, new technology.
I mean, you reach a point where what Kahinde's saying about the scratch, or all of a sudden we know it's artificial, but there's a hand behind that technology. You know, we reach a point in technology where we're all beginning to have more control over what's happening.
A way too, sort of breaking with tradition. I'm glad you mentioned that about the scratch, because this way of saying this is different than what has come before. Now get past your reaction to that,
Yes.
and then join in.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
It's the nature of language in America, right? Because in America, there's the presence of black people, and we had the need to speak secretly amongst ourselves and change things and codify.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I'd hate to create some overarching definition for all of us in our experiences, but that does in some way inform the way we speak.
Well, it's innovation out of necessity,
Exactly.
not for the reason of being new, but for the reason of you know, needing to communicate and needing to be heard, and in a lot of arenas where maybe we weren't being heard before.
I always take a very suspicious look at the need to create a political corrective. I remember being in school, and there was this assumption that I would make this sort of, you know, where's your Negro statement, right? I took that anger and that anxiety surrounding these expectations and used that as a tool. Sort of folded that into a language that I could use to create another language that said, as opposed to creating a space of an avant-garde, let's create a space of something I've never seen before, something that is a space for me, right? And I think that's what the nature of art is for me. It's about creating a moment, a new field of providence, right, where things become possible. And it's not about comparing yourself to another artist or slaying the father.
But you have to acknowledge influences.
Of course, you do. And you do all of these at the same time, concurrently. But I think the central role, right, that central sensation that I have has to do with making a picture that I've never seen before and turning myself on.
These 5 visionaries have a unique philosophy in their approach to design, a constant appetite for creation and invention, a distinct experience for all who come in contact with their work. By design, their art has a purpose: to empower, engage, embrace, and expand the way we see and move through life.